Do you want to live a life of freedom and adventure? Are you wanting more than the daily grind? Me too. Welcome to the EMMA LOVELL Show, a place where we talk about living a life you love now. I'm your host, Emma Lovell, and my number one value is freedom. I've spent the last 14 years running a business and traveling the world, and now I take my husband and toddler along for the adventure too. It's possible, and I know you can create a life doing what you truly love as well. This podcast will inspire, motivate, and encourage you to go after your dreams, to create a life you love and to live it now, not wait for retirement or someday in the future. I'll be sharing episodes weekly about how I harmonize business, travel, and self-care. I'll also bring on incredible guests to share their journeys, the wins, the challenges, and how they're creating a life they love. Let's jump in and get dreaming. This is a space for you to manifest a life you love. I would like to acknowledge and recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the first peoples of this place, now known as Australia. I am grateful for the continuing care of the land, waterways and skies where I work, live, listen, learn and play. From here on Yugambeh country and from wherever you are listening, I pay my respects to the elders past and present. I'm so excited to introduce to you today Belinda Stark, an alcohol midlife coach, and we have been trying to get together for ages. So I'm really happy to have you here, Belinda. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Emma. It's lovely to be here and thanks for having me. Yeah, we have been trying quite a bit, haven't we? But we're here.
We persevere. We both persevere. So that is a good characteristic. But I want to hear in your words a bit more about who you are.
Who am I? I am a women's midlife alcohol coach, and that came about by addressing a grey area drinking issue I had over 2.5 years now. And prior to that, and actually during that, I have owned a fashion retail store for 11 years. But when I stopped drinking, my whole identity changed. It was a major transformation on every level. And I studied coaching and fell into the sober sphere of helping other midlife women that overdrink, changing their drinking habits. And that's where I'm here today in a nutshell.
And I've seen your journey. I think we've been in each other's world just like a year, not super long.
Just over a year, probably, with Shelley's. It seems like longer, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I've seen you just hit the ground running, it's so impressive. I think when you found you would just get your coaching, or you finally were finalizing your coaching training, but to have found your lane, and then you were really just then starting to share your story, and then you put it out in Mamma Mia, which was a pretty big step, right?
Yeah, I've been in Mamma Mia 3 times, which is wonderful. The Daily Mail, a lot of people, a lot of media have been interested in my story, and not just the drinking. I've got a colourful past of a breast cancer survivor and clinical depression and divorce. So I'm a big mixed bag. There's a lot of things that I've gone through in life, like anyone in their 50s, like all of us. We all go through stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, but not everyone's willing to share it and to use it and to keep persevering, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. No.
Yeah. And so what were you doing before this, before you went down the coaching, and what was then that, obviously your own story, but what was the turning point to go, actually, I think I could be a coach?
After I stopped drinking, you shed some skin, and you have to change identity-wise, because I was always known as Belinda the big drinker. Wasn't a party girl, but I was definitely a bottle of wine or more, looking for more. So I had a coach myself, and I've done a lot of therapy with depression and postnatal depression. I've had a lot of therapy myself, and I've always been interested in that. I've studied psychology before, and I just thought I would really like to help these women. And a lot of the women in my store, I have helped with fashion, and it's more than that with clothing. It's getting them comfortable in their skin and feeling proud. So I suppose it was just a next step. So yeah, once stopping drinking, looked into coaching and thought, I really want to try this. And yeah, that's how it happened. And like you said, when I was just starting back in March last year, I was more midlife women and empowerment, but everyone wanted to know about my drinking story. And I It's just really important to talk about grey area drinking for midlife women because it is such a common thing, and to not have shame in it, make it talked about like menopause is now and what have you. So it was a real calling, and the transformation I've had, I want other women to experience. So
Yeah.
that's how it happened.
And so you had a store. So you've had this background in fashion. How long did you have the store? And so you've been in business for quite some time.
I have. So I have had the store 11 years. And it's actually, I read Denise Duffield Thomas' book, and I know you're friends with her, and I've recently had her on my podcast, Get Rich Lucky Bitch. And I was at Schoolies in November last year. I'm known as a smallie, mums that go on Schoolies. And I was in Bali and I was reading her book, and it was all about decluttering and making space. And I haven't been enjoying my retail store, and retail has been incredibly tough, particularly fashion, for well over 12 months now. And I thought, do you know I've got a year left on my lease, but I'm done. I have to clear and say goodbye to my shop, which has been hard because it still hasn't been released. I'm grateful I've got the finances I can contribute to the rent, but it's just been the best thing for me mentally, everything to, yeah, that chapter's gone. It's been an incredible journey. Survived cancer through it, created my own clothing brand, which I had Mia Friedman loved my clothing, Julia Morris. It's been incredible, which I hope to put in a book one day. But yeah, it was just the end. It was the end, and I needed to make space. And Denise's book really clicked with me.
I love that. And it is, that whole one door closes, another one opens. You have to take some things off the plate. And sometimes things come to a natural end, and sometimes you've got to make the choice to close it. And it's really hard. You were talking offline where people go, oh, but I loved it and it was great and you were good at it. And I had a pet sitting business for nowhere near as long as you had your clothing store. I had it for 2 years. Like sometimes you fall into something, or you're like, oh, I'll see how this goes. And the next thing it grows and you're doing multiple things. And I had that moment where I went, I didn't set out to be like a pet sitting mogul kind of thing. And so one of two ways. It was either that had to grow and had to get some team in and supporting, because I just wasn't the admin side of it, managing it. And maybe if it was like now, because this is what year are we in? Oh, it was like 7 years ago. So now we have like VAs and stuff. Like we have more of that support and some tools that might have helped. Maybe that would have kept it going. But then ultimately it wasn't my dream. It wasn't my vision, and it had supported my life through that time. And I closed it, and everyone's like, oh, but it's such a good business. I was like, I know it's a business, and someone else will do it great. And there are other people who are doing that business great. It's not what I wanted. And I thought about selling it. And so that's a whole hoo-ha.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
Now there's a platform. There's this great platform you can sell, but it wasn't that then. I was like, again, if that had happened, if that had been available at the time, maybe that would have been the thing. But I think making that decision, and Denise is great at that help with letting go. She helped me to let go of my investment properties. I felt attached to being an investor, and then I be an investor in other ways, and I didn't need to have this huge asset to
Yes.
and it's got money in it, or it's making money, but only if that money could also be used for other things. So those lessons are invaluable.
And it's the energy. I was putting so much energy in it because figures were not great at all. I would have had to have been in there 6 days a week, not be able to employ staff. And I just didn't have it in me. I was done. Yeah. It's not just a financial thing, isn't it? It's your energy, it's your headspace. And I'm very grateful that I've been able to do it. So.
It's time, energy, and money. And sometimes it's just time. It's just time. It's not the time. And it's like, and timing is so important, but energy is so important. And I was saying the same about an event. I cancelled an event last year, and the reality was low ticket sales. Could have got it over the line. Absolutely. I could have put in the energy, pushed it to the finish, and made it break even. But I'm like, do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to keep doing things break even and just like crawling to the finish on things? No, I want a profitable business, and I want to be in good energy, and I wasn't. And I was like, that would have already been the cherry on the cake. That would have put me. I was already pretty much on my way to bed, but that would have put me in bed.
Yeah. Decision.
Yeah, but big decisions, and it takes bravery and courage, as it does to share your story. And so I know the story and I've read it in Mamma Mia. Would you share what was the sort of tipping point for you in terms of making that massive life change?
Yeah, look, it got to the point where I was a heavy drinker on and off, probably since the early 2000s, when I went through a horrible divorce. But it sort of peaked and troughed, ebbed and flowed. But around my 50th, it got pretty serious. And I just got to the point where a bottle of wine a night, every night, and looking for more, often having more. And then also making my life fit around wine. For Max, my younger boy, with school, not school, sports pickups and things, getting out of having to pick him up because 5 o'clock was my drinking time, not going out to certain things because it was my drinking time. I was a home drinker, not a party drinker. And Christmas 22, I woke up with some shakes, which I've never had before, and just a bit of disorientation. And that really frightened me. And also, my older boy, who was 27 at the time, had settled down with a girl. And I thought to myself, because I drink like a fish every night, I can't see him letting me, if he has children, which I hope he does, hint, hint, having me be able to look after them. So I went to my GP and then I sent a text to Mitch and my hubby Andy and my best friend. And I said, look, I'm reaching out to you. I know I have a drinking problem. And if I'm true to myself, I have for a while. I'm really scared and I need your support. And basically within 5 seconds, Mitch rang me and he said to me, Mum, I'm so proud of you. And I never thought you'd admit you have a problem, had a problem or have a problem. And that really threw me too, because I thought that he didn't think I had a problem. I thought I hid it because I wasn't loud or anything. Well, I don't know, maybe I was. But yeah, that was like, whoo, okay. So that's what instigated it.
Yeah, oh, that makes me really emotional, you sharing that. Like it takes so much bravery and courage
Mm.
to have that moment and have that self-reflection. And I think there is such a culture that at one point you can just go, yeah, everyone else is drinking and
Mm.
also we have a bottle when we're out and that sort of thing. But yeah, when it shifts to home, and I think children coming into the picture does change things a lot. And we're at different life stages. But for me, just trying to I said to my husband on a cruise ship recently, your tolerance goes down when you're drinking. And he's like, yeah, my tolerance has gone down, meaning he could only have a couple of beers. And I was like, no, your tolerance, when
Mm.
our tolerance, when we've been drinking, our patience, our tolerance, our coping is down. And so you're more emotional, you're shorter
Mm.
with each other, like that night and the day after. And so and then just like the dealing with it, the
Oh,
repercussions are just not as
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun. I don't know how you did it. And I think there is an age thing to that, but also just an awareness, and you can't unsee or unfeel that.
And it's the mummy memes. That's why we do it, a lot of us. It's drinks after school with the kids. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So that justifies, like I thought I was Bridget Jones and Bridget drinks and I was a single mum, so I'm going to drink. And there was always a time to justify it. And society-wise, the mummy wine culture is a big thing too. But yeah, I was just sick and tired.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it does. It makes you sick and tired. And you don't have that awareness as well, as like you said, because you thought you were hiding it or you thought it
Yeah.
was discreet, because you're fine. Like you're fine. Everyone, you're behaving how you're behaving, but obviously your awareness is not there. One's awareness, not yours. Anyone's awareness is not there. So you don't know how you're being perceived or received in
Mm.
that. And it obviously affects,
Yeah.
it blows your perspective, literally. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
chemical.
And I think as well, I've stopped drinking a number of times over the years. I do drink. I'm not prepared to be a non-drinker. Used a lot. And I think
Mhm.
grey area, the talking about it has made me super aware as well about, because it's like, I know you talk non-drinker or alcoholic.
Yeah,
So that's a very big spectrum, a very big jump, sorry.
yeah.
But I think I've had times where I've decided not to drink for 6 weeks before a trek or a few months before a trek, and fine. But then the options are so low. What do you have? And then in
Exactly.
2020, when I was pregnant with my son, and we weren't going out as much, obviously, because when I did, it
Yeah.
was like juice or soda and I quite like the 0% alcohol beer.
Mm.
I quite liked those, but the places at the time that stocked them were so few that there just wasn't, and you just get sick of it. And then to the point where, which is maybe a good thing, you don't want to go out, but it's not a good thing because then you become antisocial. So eating and drinking were no longer enjoyable. And it was like, oh, okay, what am I going to do instead? And then the cost as well. They would like, oh, we'll make you a cocktail, a mocktail. And it's
Yeah.
just orange juice, pineapple juice, and cranberry juice for $12.
Mm.
Which wouldn't do when I'm drinking. The cocktail is $15. So, it's not enticing in that respect either. Like the options aren't there, and then the alternatives aren't.
They are now, I have to tell you, there's heaps, which is wonderful. Like I went to a zero alcohol free lunch the other day and the drinks were amazing. And honestly, and it just keeps growing, that alcohol free industry. The drinks, what are available now, like the gins just taste purely like gin. Some of it, the wines, I think, still require a bit of work, but it's getting better and better. And there's more places offering them too, which is a great sign.
And the understanding of why people are not drinking too, because there's more reasons than
Mm.
alcoholism, which is,
Mm.
oh, have you got a problem? Either you're pregnant or you had a problem. That was it.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy because most of it, what I call it, a lot of people call it is you're not an alcoholic. And I wasn't and would never say I was an alcoholic. I'm not a non-drinker. I was what was known as a middle lane drinker or a grey area drinker where you're drinking a bit too much. Yeah, there is that middle lane area is probably the most populated.
Yeah. And then for me, it was like, I just like to drive. I like to be able to get myself home. And
Yes.
so to be able to have a beer, a
Yeah, be part of it.
beer that I like the taste of, and it's refreshing in the afternoon, but it's no alcohol. And it was really nice. I did that in front of somebody once, and he was like, "What's? Oh, I don't know." And I wasn't pregnant. And he said it was just something like where he knew that I was. You said
Yeah.
you were drinking, and I was like, "It's a beer. It's 0%." And he's like, "Oh, I might do that too, actually." And I was like, "It's the same." And he was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." And I was like, "Yeah, because you're gonna drive. You don't really. What's
But
the
it's funny, I had one of my clients, she goes out for lunch a couple of times a week and with big drinkers, but instead of telling them, no, I'm not drinking, she went to the bar first and got a zero beer, poured it in a glass. So no one was none the wiser and everything was fine. But then another day when she went, she forgot to do that. And she got really teased about, come on, have a drink and all that zero stuff. That's not the good stuff. And so it's just really interesting that how people react.
Yeah, well, and then it's still like I don't know, a question for
Yeah.
me, it was always like the driving thing. Even when I was 18, because then you had a zero alcohol limit, I was often the driver because we lived 30 minutes from the bar we'd go to, and I wanted to get home and I had to get home somehow. So I've always been comfortable with just like, "No, I'm not."
Mm.
Also the expense, my girlfriends would do let's do a round, I'll buy a bottle, then you buy a bottle, you buy, and I was like, I'm not going to drink that much, nor am I going to spend that much. And so I think rounds culture,
Yes.
I just cannot consume the volume of liquid. So
Yeah.
sometimes that was my problem, but also I didn't want to get to that. I wanted the decision. And
Yeah.
what happens to my girlfriend, she'll always be the first one to do it. And then by the time it gets to her turn, they're buying the really expensive drinks, or then the person whose turn it is next and it's goes home. And
Oh,
I think it's all very, and it's
yeah.
like politics. I thought we were here having fun, and I was in Germany actually when I was 19, and they
Mm.
went to a round, and I said I don't want to, and my friend's like why, kind of like why are you being rude? And I was like, I don't like rounds, and he's like, that's what we're doing, and that's what we do here, and I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah. Good on you.
Back then, I was like, why do I have to subscribe to
Mm.
this to then, and if I don't, I'm rude.
I know. But yeah, you're looking after yourself and it just, yeah, I don't know.
I think
It
conversations like this, though, are going to help. And
helps.
to be, and I'm sorry for your client who had that experience, but I think the more that people are able to be honest and
Mm.
I'm just trying to reduce my drinking.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I choose not to today. And I'm still here and I'm having fun. And again, I remember this like peer pressure moment with a friend. She was like, we can't have fun if you're not. And I was like, why is your fun? I sit there and said, why is your fun so dependent on what I'm doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a very baffling thing. And yeah, it's very interesting to then sit back and observe. So, and then you've been doing lots of amazing things since as well. So, since sharing your story, I see you showing up so much. So, what's that shift been for you in terms of you've gone from bricks and mortar to online? Like, had you done online business before this?
I had an e-commerce store, so I knew that sort of side of it. But no, it's very different in the coaching world and all online. I think I love the flexibility of it. And I am trying to find a line between where work starts and where my free time, oh, yeah, where work ends and my free time starts. That's tricky. But I think it's always been tricky with me because when you're doing something you love, a lot of the things you do, writing, aren't they're not really work because they're sort of your hobby. But what I will say is the connection with people. So making myself go to network type events, like I've been to a couple in Melbourne with you, and I'm really glad I did that because it was just a beautiful experience. And the things you go to, you're often around with other coaches like yourself. So it's a really lovely high vibe, supportive thing, and you come off on a high. So that's probably what I need to keep or be aware of now that I'm in the coaching space, and it can be quite isolating. So
Yeah, you're really working by yourself. And I think, and having people who get it. And you probably didn't get to have that either when you were in the retail or the e-com because kind of competitive, but also, like leave your shop and walk to the next shop and talk to them. Like,
yeah.
so that is a beauty of we can connect online, but I think in person is so important
Mm.
and you build the depth of connection.
Yes, I agree.
Person.
And it's funny because you find I've been to a few of your things, and you've been there too, and there's been other girls. So we're obviously meant to be in each other's orbits, and we support each other. And I love that. I love that connection. And probably didn't have it in retail. It's very cutthroat. And yeah, it was more people, like you saw more people, you did the buying. But I think this is my space now. I like where I'm at.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And you do a bit of leisuring. I think you kind of bought into that you were like, yes, this is
Totally.
so even the first time we met, you came up to the Gold Coast, and I think that's so wonderful. So and yes, you've addressed a challenge there, and I think it's an ongoing thing of finding the harmony of when are you working and when are you not? Because we have the freedom, but we also then don't have the parameters. We've got to put the boundaries and the parameters. So, but with anything, there's pros and cons. So how are you including that travel and that leisure for yourself?
As much as I possibly can. We recently had a trip to Byron. Unfortunately, I sprained my ankle on day one. So I had the feet up, and the hubby was the manslave, which was quite good. But I was able to do my client. I had 3 clients during that week, and I was able to sit there with my leg elevated and have a lovely chat to them and be in the sunshine and looking out at the ocean. That's pretty much a win. I wouldn't be doing that in a shop. Where else have we been? It's just, yeah, you can go away anytime and you can still fit in clients. And that's a massive bonus. And I love that flexibility, which I never had in a traditional bricks and mortar store. And having that staff there, and if something goes wrong, you've got to be there. You've got to be on call. Whereas it's me and my laptop and my husband, or maybe even not my husband sometimes, like when I was in Bali on Smallies. That was wonderful. I worked. I got on our business calls. We're both in a business group with Tina Tower. It's wonderful. It's laptop life, and I love it.
Oh, it's so great. And I love that. So can you just as well define for me, I was just going to say in terms of, I love that you're in midlife and you're doing this. I love seeing that people start at any time because for me, I started at 22 out of uni and I didn't really different. Sorry, I froze. I didn't know any different. And so I love seeing that people are coming into this and at any age and any stage. And full credit to you because people do sort of go, well, this is it. This is what I'm doing and I've got to do that forever. And it's like, no, like you said, you're midlife and midlife is what midlife used to be my age, like 37. So now midlife is, what would you term midlife as? Because I think you know a lot more.
Really good question. And I put it up on an Instagram post a few months ago now, and people had really mixed feelings. But I would say 45 to 65.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I believe. Why should midlife? Some people seem to think midlife has bad connotations. Like it's a big part of our life. And why should it? It doesn't mean you're old. It just means,
No, I think it means quite the different. Like I think
yeah.
it's a reclaiming, and it was actually my psychologist said that to me because I've always got it on my wall now all the time in the world. I've got a little clock, a little pocket watch now, just to remind myself there's time because sometimes it can feel like I'm totally a believer of living in the moment, going after your dreams, but I also have to go, you know, you can do three things today, not 12.
Yes, but I think I'm the same. My husband's the same. I know, I think a lot of the ladies that get along are the same because we're ambitious and we want to do all the things. But at least being aware of that and managing that and not beating yourself up because you didn't get the 10 things done today, you got the five.
Just being
That's,
behind. Yeah, and she said to me, like, Emma, honestly, you would have been midlife, but now you're a third of the way through your life.
yeah.
Unless you get a serious health condition, and even with the medical advancements we have, we're going to live to past 100. My cousin is 102 and he was born in 1920, so he's an exception. But that will become the rule. And so really, yeah, you are. That is, midlife has moved and
Mm.
working life has moved. And she's like, you wanted me to keep doing this for another 30, 40, 50 years. So like, just cool your jets, babe. Like, you're gonna get there. And I was like, oh, that's so kind and so kind of cool also to think that we don't even know what we're going to create yet. Like, there's
And
some,
we're in different phases. You've got a little 4-year-old. I've got my second son who finished school last year, which it's been a huge adjustment and change. And probably just now I'm getting a bit sad about it because I loved no more school drop-offs and no more of that sort of structure. But now as it's sort of everything's settling down and I'm getting used to him not being at school, yeah, there is a bit of a space there, an empty nest gap. So it's accepting that you've got that space and being happy with it and using it to your advantage, your potential, what you want to do, really what you want to do. I'm probably in that stage now. My parents are healthy and elderly. And as I said, my boys are independent. So I've actually got a bit more time to give things a crack. So midlife can be a really great opportunity because you've got a bit more space, hopefully.
yes. And I love our friend Emma Walkinshaw. She talks about, and I'm having a bit of a day, I think I've got her in my head, and she says, you're in the engine room of life, Em. She's like, everything's just pumping and moving and going, and everything's got to work together, and it's a big old engine and it's a machine, and that's the stage. And she did this beautiful presentation at my retreat about the seasons, and that we used to have these three stages of life, and you would have been like the midlife that we're talking about now would have been in the crone phase in the past. We think, oh gosh, the name is,
Yeah.
but then it's actually now got this MAGA phase that's been insane.
Mm.
And I'm just like, I love my MAGA women. I love that. I love looking to women at that stage of life and going, oh yeah, yes, this is what I'm doing now. And I'm in the summer. So I loved how she did the spring, the summer, the
Yes.
autumn, the winter. So MAGA is autumn. And then what a beautiful way to picture crone instead as winter,
Mm.
and that winter's also a beautiful season. It's a different season. I'm in my summer, but then people who are in the autumn and this the different perspective they bring,
Mm.
I love getting
Mm.
to hear from them and just seeing you like, yeah, there's this whole new season that will come.
I think, like for women in their early 50s, late 40s, we're trailblazers and pioneers, I think, with menopause and perimenopause. And I know our friend Shelley's very instrumental and vocal in that and talking about the drinking. But I think, and in my keynote, I'm now developing with Annalise, I it's really important for me, for the next generations of women, to not be a bitch to themselves, to get rid of that inner critic, I think a lot of the generations before me, before my age, they were really hard on themselves. My grandmother, they went through war and stuff. But it's time for us just to be nice to ourselves because it's key to everything. It truly is. Yeah, let's change that narrative for us and for the future women in their 50s.
I love it. Yeah, and it's just seasons. It's just seasons. Now tell me, we talked a little bit about it, but my final question for you, lovely, is how do you live a life you love now, right now?
It's a really good question. I live a life I love by waking up each day and looking at my little dogs. I've got 3 sausage dogs. And just, it might be a bit cliche, but just being grateful for what I've got, for surviving cancer, for having 2 healthy boys, for having a husband that loves and supports me, even though we give each other the shits a lot of the time. Just being grateful for those things. That's how I'm living a life I love. And sometimes my life, I'm not loving it, but the next day it's fine and everything passes. So yeah, just being grateful and taking a big breath.
I am so grateful for your honesty and for you sharing your story. I know that you're helping so many women, and it's been such a joy to see you grow and shine. And I know that there's so much more to come from Stark. Now, tell us, how can we connect with you? And yes, anything else you would love to share with our audience?
You can Instagram is the best way, Belinda Stark _. I've got a website. There's a lot of free resources there on sober curiosity. And what else have we got on there? 20 top tips to stop drinking. 3 times a year I run a course. It's called Get Your Sober Sparkle. So whether you want to cut back, cut out, or take a break, and it's finding your little sparkle back, and you're in your beautiful sparkles today. The next one for that is July. So it's coming up in June. I'm not sure when this is going out, but check my website or Instagram.
We'll pop those links in the show notes. Thank you for your time today, Belinda. We got there. Yay! And I know there's wonderful things to come. So thank you so much.
Thanks, gorgeous.
Thank you for listening, lovely one. I hope this has inspired you to dream big and start creating a life you love today. If you love what you're hearing, don't forget to follow and rate on Spotify, and rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. It helps other awesome people to find this podcast and get motivated and inspired as well. Want to stay connected? Come and join the Live a Life You Love group on Facebook, or connect with me on Instagram, emmalovell.au. The same as my website, but all the details are in the show notes, lovely. I'll see you next episode for more inspiration, motivation, and freedom seeking. Now go out there and live a life you love.